Just in case the installation fails, there's a log.
Mm-hmm.
You see there is a log. It's written in temp directory.
Okay.
The log
Temp
file.
directory, right?
Yeah, in cd/temp. You see the log file, the last line for more
Yeah, this
information.
thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
install.logbat. Yeah.
That is the log file to look for.
Oh, okay. I have to. Okay.
Yeah, that's the log file to look for. Okay. Now, do you have the documentation? What to do after this?
No, Ravi, actually, I don't have any document. You should tell me any document, right?
Yeah. So the next important thing is we need to create two users.
Okay.
Okay. How do you create a users? Let me ping it to you.
Hey Ravi, quick question.
Yes, Shannon. Go ahead, sir.
Uh, you said that we have to create it to user. It's that mandatory to create it to user, or you can create more under one instant?
Oh, actually, those two users are one is instance owner, another one is
Yeah.
security owner.
Okay.
So,
So it have to be two, right?
yeah, at least two. If you are creating with root, yes.
Okay.
Okay, let me ping you something in the chat. So the way DB2 works is it's mostly it's a user-based instance model. So we,
Okay.
Uh,
we did DB2 I. You might have done DB2 I create, right? So that means you created one instance. Everything is under that user's home directory. If you go ahead and create another user, it will be under the another user's home directory. So it's based upon the users. So that's how they
oh, I have to
simplified.
create by this thing.
Yeah, just there is a command called user add, right? Just go ahead and run.
Yeah, user add.
Yeah, just copy and paste it.
Oh, you can paste it.
Hmm.
Oh, let me type. Right? Okay, I will
Okay.
check. Oh, that's easy.
So it's user ID is basically a command that Unix admin use it to create a new user ID. No, no, there is a complete command down there. User add -d,
Oh, okay.
give the home directory.
User add and
No, no,
space hyphen, right?
you have to say user add
Uh-huh.
space -d
That's it, right?
space
Space.
/home /db2 fence1
That's DB2.
fence1 space.
Let me.
Yeah, it's not C, it's just C fence FENC.
Slash.
DB2 fence1.
Type here.
Yeah, just copy the
Yes.
same thing and paste it here. It's the same thing that's been there.
Fence two.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's it, right?
No, what are you doing?
Just I copied this one and I pasted. Oh, same thing.
Just copy whatever there is and paste it here.
Okay. I'll do it from first actually.
Hmm. Yeah, let me not confuse you. Let me type firstly in the chat and just copy whatever I do there. So just open the terminal. Don't get confused. Just open the terminal. Open a putty terminal.
What it on?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, go inside the VMware too. You can do anywhere. Okay. The first thing we need to do is we need to add two users. Two users with the name DB2 Fence1. Second one is DB2 INST1.
Oh, you have to go into this or some from here I can do.
You can do it from any terminal. Putty is just a facility. You can log it in from
Yeah.
Windows. It's up to you. Whether you want to use Putty or you want to do inside VMware terminal. Login as a root. Yeah,
Oh,
switch to
we have
root.
to log in as a root.
You can switch to root using su space hyphen space root.
Yeah.
All right, now
Mhm.
we need to add those two users. So the command to add users
Yeah.
is user add. Just type it, user add
User, correct?
hyphen d space
Slash user.
hyphen d space /home
Home.
/db2 fence1 db2 fenc1 space
Yes.
db2 fence1 db2 fenc1.
Yeah.
Enter.
That's it, right?
The
Enter.
user spelling is wrong, man.
User add.
You,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still
1 hour. It's only 1 hour. Okay, what is that? What is that hyphen minus D or hyphen D here is? In Windows, whenever we log in, will be placed in our desktop, right? If you
Yeah.
actually go and look at the desktop path, it says see users, your user ID,
Yeah.
and desktop. Similarly, whenever you log into Windows, like desktop, similarly, whenever you log into Unix, you need a place to work. You need a
Oh,
place
yeah.
to work. That place is this home directory. Whatever the space you specify with hyphen D is the
Mhm.
home directory where you can play around, where you can create new stuff.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got it.
Now change the password for this guy. Just type PASSWD DB2 fence1 space DB2 fence1 single word.
Correct?
Enter. Yeah.
You can give 1, 2,
Yeah, whatever you like.
chart 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah.
Very good. Now go ahead and add another user too. Another user name is db2 inst1. Now type this command called user add
Uh-huh.
hyphen d home db2 inst1. Instead of fence1,
Oh, INST.
it should be yeah
Yeah.
inst1.
HT1. Correct?
Space. The last one is a username inst1.
That's it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, enter. Now change the password for this guy too. Okay. Now, do you remember the location that you gave it for DB2 installation?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Can you go to the directory?
It's CD.
Yeah. /opt for cd /.
MNT, right?
Okay. Go there and see.
It's in CD DB2. Yeah, CD DB2 actually.
Yeah. Go inside it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the path where you have extracted it, right? But there is a path where you have installed it. Installed in the sense when you run db2 underscore install, it asked us for a location. You might have said yes down there.
Yeah. I didn't remember actually, but
Yeah, okay. Okay. By default, whenever you say yes, it goes under cd opt. Can you go to cd /opt?
yeah.
Enter.
LS, right?
Yeah, ls. There is something called IBM.
Mm-hmm.
Go inside IBM. Yeah, there is DB2, right? Go inside DB2, please. Enter. There is
Yeah.
version 10.5 inside it. Go inside.
Yeah.
This is the installation path. What do I mean by installation
Oh.
path here is whenever we install, the respective executables will come here. Go inside the directory. Yeah, capital V. Just say tab. Just say tab.
Yeah, but yeah, I got it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. ls. So this is like, after we install .exe in Windows, it will create some folder, right, inside C program files. This is the same folder, the similar kind of a folder. Now this might confuse you with all these folders, but don't worry about it here. There is something called install. There is a directory called install here on the first line, fifth
Yeah.
column. Go
Yeah, I
inside.
can see.
Yeah, go inside that install. Do ls. Here there is a file called it did not go correctly. Oh, sorry, it's not install. Sorry, it's instance. Sorry. Go one directory back. Cd dot dot cd space dot dot will take you back to your parent directory. Enter. Now say cd instance.
Instance, right?
Mm-hmm. Enter. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Here you see instance level commands. The first thing you need to be comfortable with, or DB2 is it is an command-based administration. You don't have to type so much of SQL. It's mostly a command-based administration. Here there is a command called db2 I create. In the second line you can see db2 I create. I stands for instance here. Can you please do ./db2 icrt space -h.
I cannot see Ravi.
Yeah,
Okay, it's
in the second line,
wait.
in the second column, Fourth line.
So util.
ICRT.
Hello.
DB2 ICRT.
Correct.
DB2. It's a DB2.
Oh, sorry.
Space DB2 ICRT space -H.
-H.
Yeah, -H basically shows us the help. Now, how do I need to use the command? If we little maximize or go top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go to that options section. Very good. Go up. Little go up.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go up, go up.
Yeah.
I want to see the starting output. Still go up.
Oh, the maximum, I think.
Okay. I think there is a little like 1 or 2 seconds delay in our communication here.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Now if you look at here, the DB2 I create, the basic syntax here is -S.
-S.
No, I cannot see your screen. It's not showing anymore the syntax.
You can't see this?
Okay, let me do one thing. Let me take control back. Let me show it in my screen itself. Looks like there is little communication lag.
Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
let
what
me
happened.
make myself the presenter.
Yeah, you can see a .s instance type or something like that.
No, it's little distracting. Yes.
Yeah, okay. You can do it.
Disturbance coming from my side. Just give me a minute. Control back. Let me make myself presenter. All right, you see it right? If I go inside Linux 2, that box I have, if I log in as a root and password, if you already created a DB2 instance, if you want to find out how many instances that are running inside, what is this? So the thing you need to do is ps-ef grep for db2 ccc. So if you don't see any output for this, that means there is nothing running. There is nothing running here. Okay. Now the thing I wanted to show you is, let me add new users. The same thing, user add. -d home db2 inst3. You can add anything here. Okay, there is nothing like you have to add only inst1 or fence1. You can specify anything here. Fence3 db2 fence3. Let me change password for this.
Actually, Ravi, what is that like? Actually, what is like that? Those are names or something you give by yourself or default by default? There will be.
Yeah, I'll be explaining you. I'll explain you. Just in a minute. Okay, these two user IDs are basic prerequisites. But why do I need these user IDs? Is to create an instance. What is an instance? So if you look at the whole process, this is what we did. If you look at the whole process, we have downloaded the products. Then what did we do? We FTP or SCP the products, right? What is that we did after that? Extract, install, right? This extraction we have done as a root user. This install we have done as a root user. After install, where it will keep the files by default in opt IBM DB2 version 10.5. Agree?
Yeah.
So if I go to that folder, I don't have opt here. Okay.
Maybe there's
I don't think I have the setup in this Linux 2 box. Let me power this off and start the Linux one. Right, let it start in the meantime. So I extracted the product here, probably in a separate directory, for example, like mount db2. Okay, it creates server underscore t folder. When I start installing it, it creates the necessary executables from these .exe or .binary files here and puts in this directory. Now all I have to do is I have to go to this directory, and there is a folder called instance. Inside this there is a file called db2 I create. I stands for instance. This will help me to create a new instance. So before we understand how to create an instance, we need to see the help for this command. That's what I try to show you in your terminal arcade. When you do -h, it will show you the help for that command. So let me open. It's still starting up. Okay, let it take time. So what I have been telling is there is a command called db2 ilist. If I run this command, it will show me that how many db2 instances are already running in my system. There are 2 db2 instances already running in my system. So when I switch to root, when I say db2 ls, you look at this. Without having any db2 environment, even you log in as a non-db2 user, and when you run this command called db2 ls, it will show you that what kind of a DB2 products installed in your system. This is very important command, because I don't know where the DB2 product is installed. If I don't know where the DB2 product is installed, this command will show me that where that product is installed. If you look at,
Oh, the path.
yeah, exactly. If you look at, it says that this is where it's installed. This is the level of it, the product version, the fix pack. If there is any special installation number, when it is installed, and who installed it. It's a root installation. 0 stands for root installation, right? I don't have to know where it is installed. Just if I don't know it, what kind of an environment that new box I'm getting into has, I can simply say this thing. Now my next thing is go inside the instance, do db2 I create -h. When I do this -h, this is the syntax I need to follow. db2 I create -s. -s says the instance type. -s says the instance type. What kind of an instance I would like to create? Do I have to create just a client? Do I have to create just an developer edition? Do I have to create just an advanced server edition? That kind of an instance I am trying to specify. -a specifies where this instance is authenticated. Let's say I am creating this instance in a data center in Chicago. Now clients might connect from a different location, right? Clients might connect from different location, right? Probably clients might come in from Singapore, or clients might come in from India to connect to the Chicago server, right? Now where do I authenticate those clients? Do I authenticate those clients in client side only or server side? Most importantly, it's on a server side. When I talk about -p, how these client and server communicate? Do they communicate using any port number, or both exist on the same box? So I will show you how to add a port number. Now here you have to give the fence user ID. What is the fence user ID is? Fencing, right? You might have heard the word called fencing. So if you have a land or agricultural field, you put fences around it, right? Even for your home, so that you stop intruders, right? So similarly, the fenced user here is to stop unnecessary access from security point of view. There is a concept from application development called stored procedures, user-defined functions, user-defined aggregates. They are all user-defined. That means if someone is not of a good interest or good intention, they can try to write something that might corrupt your entire database instance, right? For example, if I have declared array of 10, for example here, if I have declared array of 10, that means it has a values from array of 0 to array of 9. Probably this is a basic memory allocation. Basic memory allocation. But what if I am trying to print array of 11? It's out of memory, right? There might be a corruption, there might be a code dump, it might cause a worst case scenario of crashing the entire instance. Just to protect such scenarios, this guy is used, db2 fence1, fenced user ID. So if you have any pure scale options and text search options, which I haven't explored so far, and then you have to say what is this -d. -d stands for debug. Don't use this unless it is advised by IBM support. So then you have to say instance name. Now in my case, I just simply adding these two user IDs, home, db2 fence. It's up to you, you can give any name. db2, instead of fence3, I can simply say Alkesh. Alkesh is my security user, right? Just a standard that db2 projects follow across it. Say that instance 1, instance 2, and instance 3, but it's not mandatory. Huh? Password allocation. Okay. So the simple command I have to run right now is db2 I create, okay, -u. Alkesh is my security or fenced user. My instance owner is db2 inst3. Right. So far so good. Tony, Shannon.
Yeah, so you're defining right here that who's your actually the -u. You're saying it, the Alkesh is going to be your fence,
Yes.
basically the protector, and then DB2 Instance 3, that's going to be the user. Is that right?
Exactly. So whatever we specify here, this guy is my instance owner going forward. But
Got it.
Alkesh acts as a fenced owner, as in he stands at the fence saying that, okay, you are coming new into my house or my field. Do you have a permission? What you are trying to bring into my fence, inside my fence? He checks everything at a fence itself. If he is not confident, he tell them that, okay, do your job outside fence wall. I don't allow you inside. Tell me what you want from inside. I'll get you from inside, but I don't allow you to inside. You see what the point? The stored procedures, user-defined functions, you write the code or I write the code. So if you don't write it or handle it properly, if memory corruption happens, eventually it might crash your instance. So just to avoid that situation, this guy stands at a fence saying, I don't allow you. Tell me what you want, I'll get you from inside. So I mean, basically this guy will execute all our user defined code outside firewall, outside databases firewall. So, right. So now it will go ahead and create another instance called db2 inst3. Hi Tony, good evening. Okay, it won't take longer time. It hardly like 4 to 5 steps. So you are trying to from your side, Shannon. Okay, Tony.
Uh, I'm not trying it to actually have create. I created the instance already.
Oh, okay.
You'll be sending this. I think last recording you sent it. It didn't record it right, I think.
It's there on the share drive that I have shared from my Google.
Yeah, it seems like it's not opening it. Means opening it, but it stayed on just on a
Where is it?
like same screen, and there is no like there is no volume to it.
Where is it? I haven't checked it. I just uploaded it, but let me check it today.
Got it. No problem.
Otherwise, I'll put it one of my previous recordings at least there.
Oh, it's playing for me, Ravi. Actually, I used it today.
Oh, is it? So then
Yeah.
probably it's sometimes when you drag, it
Yeah.
stuck in that video media player. So okay, all right. Again, like instance installation, product installation, the instance creation also completed successfully. And whenever it is completed successfully, it creates a log here. It creates a log like this. So if I want to go ahead and see this log, I can simply go to cd temp. What is happening?
It's restarted.
Why? Oh, why? It should not be. Yeah, the log it is showing you there, which has the, I think it's locking, just locked. Okay, so this is much better option for me. This is how we do it at workplace, Alkesh. So we don't get into this VM or a box directly, right? We open the respective IP address to a putty session and we'll play on this putty session.
Okay.
So what I have been telling you is, if I go to my temp, you should see a DB2 I create log here. This got created like a couple of minutes back. Now my next step is, I created an instance. My next step is login as instance owner. From here it's only instance owner, okay? Login as instance owner, then start instance. Once you start the instance, create a database. So let me walk you through the next steps, 6, 7 and 8. Now how do I log into my instance owner? Who is my instance owner here? DB2 Inst3. I say whenever you switch from root to any other user, it won't ask you for the password because root is a super user. Okay. Now how do I start my instance? The simple command is db2 start. The simple command you have to do is just say db2 start. su hyphen db2 inst3. To start instance, you have to simply say db2 start. If you want to stop instance, simply have to say db2 stop. It is saying me that I have only 40 days of evaluation period left. Probably you might see it as 89 days in your environment. And it showed me a number here, a string here, and said db2 start processing was successful. db2 start processing was successful. So how do I make sure that my instance start is successful is, whenever I do a db2 start, it creates one background process called db2 sysc. db2 sysc. So there are 3 db2 syscs running here. Now what is this db2 sysc is? db2 sysc is a system controller. db2 system controller. You see what I'm saying? This is the main process for db2. We have been discussing that version 9.5 onwards, db2 is a single process and multiple thread based architecture. So this sysc is a major process for db2, the high level process which controls all the threads. Let's say if someone opened a ticket saying that db2 is down. If someone opened a ticket saying db2 is down, the first thing I would do is I will log into the box. I will log into the box, and the first thing I check here is whether the background process is running or not. Here the background process for db2 inst3 is running, right? if I open a duplicate session and if I log in as instance 1, these are the different instances, right?
Hello.
If I do db2 stop, hi Tony.
Ravi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible now, Tony.
Hello.
You are audible now, Tony.
Yeah, I have a hard time to connect today. Drop off and coming back. I couldn't get the full. Are you going to send the video?
Yeah, of course, yes.
Okay. You are doing instance installation and the configuration, correct?
Yes, the other day we did install, right? Today we are doing instance creation, which is followed by database creation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. I'll send you the recording, Tony.
Okay.
All right. Now what I have just done here is, this is my instance 3. I logged into instance 1 and I stopped the instance. When I say db2 stop, it won't be having any longer this system controller, right? Now when I say ps-ef, I don't see db2 inst1 anymore here. The first and foremost thing, the basic L1 task to make sure the db2 is up and running is check for the system controller process. Okay. Now let me go ahead and stop even the instance 2. It's very simple. You just simply have to say db2 stop. If there are no processes or applications connected to it, it will work. Otherwise, there is a separate process I'll cover.
Here, Ravi, quick
Yes.
question about that.
Go ahead, sir.
You had the 3 instance on, right? So as a root, can you stop those instance instead of going in a instant 1, instant 2, instant 3?
Yes, still you have to run that command called db2 stop,
Okay.
or you have to kill them.
Kill them. Okay. Okay. So you don't want to do that. Okay.
I mean,
got it.
that's the worst case scenario. I mean, we do once in a while, but
Okay.
on major production systems, you never know. You better have to prepare for worst case scenario of restoring
Got it.
if
Got
they
it.
won't come back up. Yeah, just have to kill this process ID. Yeah,
Okay.
right. So far so good.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what we have done here is we have started the instance and we stopped the instance. Okay. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to create a database. Before I go and explain how to create a database, let me walk you through some theory. Yes, Tony?
Yeah, it seems you created 3 instance per box.
Mm-hmm.
Is it advisable in a real-time scenario for in a box 2-3 instance, or under the one instance 2-3 database is good?
It basically depends again. If you have enough infrastructure, no one stops. But what I recommend is, if we are playing on a major production system, let's not have more than one instance on the box, because the memory sharing is going to be a big pain.
Right, right.
So,
In general, yeah, it is two different thing. As long as you have a more infrastructure, memory, CPU,
exactly.
then that's not a problem. But it's always good to have one instance, multiple database sitting, dev integration, something like that.
So, but in development or test environments, we create multiple instances. But for a major production systems, we don't. We just dedicate that server only for that, right? So mostly.
When is yeah, when you say one instance, one database, it's a standalone, even though it's sitting in data server. That multiple instance have multiple database. But one-to-one, one instance, one database is always a good idea. No interruption, nothing.
Yeah, it's a no interruption.
Right.
Yeah, but you are not
So
using.
Oracle.
Yeah, but you are not using the features of DB2. DB2 gives you a flexibility where you can have a single instance and multiple databases, right? So one instance, one
That's
data. Yeah. Mhm.
a different scenario, right? What is the best scenario which is suitable for one instance, one database, one instance, multiple database?
So it's a fine balance between both of them. So if you talk about a production system, I recommend them to have like one instance, one database, or one instance, multiple database. It does not make much difference. If we play the memory carefully, there is a way you can limit the memory for each database. Here is the thing, sir. So I'll cover anyway in the class that one. So these are three major resources, right? Talk about any system: CPU, I/O, memory. So if my production system is critical and if I don't have a requirement to store in multiple databases, one instance, one database. I don't have to worry about any resource sharing or resource allocation, and I can allocate whatever I have on the system. But if I have to create another instance,
Hello?
sorry, where I need to have multiple databases, right, two databases, then I have to play around. There is something called database memory. So it's just that you have to divide the things or resources between multiple databases. As long as you divide them and you have enough resources, you can have any number of databases. But I don't reject the case that where people have one instance and multiple databases as a production.
So usually you say one instance, one database. Production, right?
I won't say that. I usually say that it's only one instance for production. It's up to you. You can have a number of databases. Again, it
Right.
depends upon, sir. So I see a case that where you can have multiple instances under a single production environment. Better than that, let's have only one instance and multiple databases. But
Yeah,
coming to
one
the
instance and multiple database related to the production box. One application, right? Which can share
Okay.
the one instance.
Yeah, just give me
Okay,
one quick
anyway.
second. One quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, who's on the other line? Alkesh and what's the other guy name?
Hey, and Tony, this is Shanet.
Shannon, where are you located?
I'm in Nebraska, Lincoln,
Wow.
Nebraska.
Wow.
What about you?
Nebraska. It is in where? It's in all the way up.
It's mid. It's near Kansas. Next to it's in the middle of it, so it's Midwest.
Okay, okay. You guys been there for a long time, or?
No, I was in Florida for 9 years. Just
Wow.
moved here. Hey, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey, so cold air too.
Yeah, this is cold. Yeah, it's rain here. I hope
It's
you guys
raining.
have a good weather.
Yeah, it's
over
not
there.
bad here actually. Winter-wise, it's not bad. Last time we had, I think, 9 inches of snow. That's it for the whole winter. But
Wow.
two,
That's it?
3 months. So that's it. Last year it was very good actually. But usually they say means I just moved here. But it's like it's almost 1.5 year. But they says there isn't a whole lot snow here usually. You know, it's a regular. Usually it is kind of 12 or 13 inches max kind of.
Oh, good, good. What you did in the 9 years in Florida? You guys worked in
Uh,
Database or application?
no, it was just, I worked as a business analyst for the
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. I
5
mean, you
years
know,
there. Mhm.
how do you feel like you move out from that business analyst, kind of getting the working with the
Business analyst will be
clients?
dying pretty soon. So you need something which is can hold you for the long term, because business analyst is not like it's not that strong. Anybody can be a business analyst, you know. So you need a little bit kind of I can say skill, something under your belt, so at least actually able to kind of survive, you know.
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, in the techie side also.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
What about you?
Uh, yeah, I've been there for Oracle and backend, and
Okay.
also development DBA, and I have a DB2 a little two dev DBA, but it's a long little out of touch, so I kind of catching back again.
You're just trying to brush up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And this is yeah. I think you know DB2 has a challenge its own, Oracle has its own.
That's right. The Oracle has a pretty good. Means I saw it. Oracle, you can get a lot of help online actually.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, you can get a lot of resource in Oracle, not DB2. So
Okay.
that's the only advantage here, which
Okay.
you know, there are not more people available in DB2 though, compared with Oracle, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of openings for the DB2. You're right about, but it's not necessary. But a lot of people they switch to from the DB2 to Oracle. Some are Oracle to DB2. So, but yeah, you're right about that because there is a lot of openings if you see it. But I saw it more like for the mainframe. Uh, and this seems like the LUW seems like a little bit newer than the mainframe. A lot of even.
Well, not really. I mean, DB2 LUW is picking up nowadays, and all the financial industry they have LUW
Okay.
here in JP Morgan in New York, and Chase Bank,
Okay.
and City. Most of the New York and New Jersey is DB2 dominated.
Right.
So,
Right.
so this is picking up. In fact,
I saw,
the growth.
I was checking other day on Indeed, and I saw at least like 6 or 7 for DB2 in actually New York, not New Jersey, but New York. I saw several openings there. It's
Right,
it's
right.
good actually. The whole West Coast actually, you see there is a lot of openings on a DB2. Here in the Midwest, it's not a whole lot, but till actually a lot of states actually work for the state government. A lot of states actually use the DB2 instead of Oracle. Um,
Right,
that's
right.
an
Here,
advantage of it.
yeah, you are absolutely right. Most of the city government, including New York also,
Yep, yep.
and New
So
Jersey too.
that's true because I work for the state right now here, and we do the same thing, but it's a mainframe. Eventually, it's going to switch from the mainframe, but till a lot of people actually use the mainframe because it's more maybe safer or whatever you want to say it, you know.
I agree, but eventually,
Mm.
in order to plug in, you know,
Mm.
you need from mainframe to open system, they
Right.
need somebody who knows DB2, which is good, which is good. Who is the other guy? His name is Alkesh. He's working with you.
No. Alkesh, hey, Alkesh, you there?
Hi, Shyam.
Hey, Alkesh, where are you located?
I'm right now located in Detroit.
That's right.
Everybody's all over, huh?
Yeah, is it good? How do you are in application side or database side?
No, I worked before in Pega actually. I was an MS student actually.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm.
okay.
Actually, I was learning DB2 for.
Okay. Good, good, good. I see another gentleman who's Vishnu
Hi.
Devana.
Yeah, this is Vishnu.
Hey, Vishnu, where are you located?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Just I finished my master's, so
So you guys want to kind of catch hold of some of the
This is good.
certification. Yeah,
yeah.
good, 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 good.
Hey, Tony, what's
Yeah.
a day-to-day operation like for the Oracle? Like, and it's more command based or it's a
No, it's a more SQL based, but like Ravi mentioned here, it is DB2 is fully command based, right?
yeah, it's
So
much. I think it's that's helped a lot because means command base you actually don't use whole lot. There is not huge query you have to write it to get to where you want to get to. Other side on a SQL, you have to use like a huge query to actually get to where you want to get to. So
yeah,
what?
it's a mix of both is good. I
Mm,
would say, DB2 is command based in the operating system, command based, just DB2 and run DB2 command prompt. But
right.
then nowadays, all the companies restricted. You cannot, if you are a dev DBA, you cannot directly run the command on the database server.
Oh,
You
really?
have to run through the client. That makes you nervous, and how to get that? If you are not to get that around, you have to go through SQL again.
Right,
So
right.
it's a kind of little tricky,
Mm,
but it's a little hard. Some of the command they're restricted, otherwise they bring down the whole database down.
mm,
Some guy running kind of some monitoring thing on the top of the database
mm.
is going to pull you down, the whole database down. So they don't want to do that restriction.
Oh.
So we will talk. We will talk. Is Ravi down there? I think everything is recording there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's on. The recording is on. That's okay. It's not a big deal.
I don't know if everything is recording.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe you need to forward again. Ravi, are you back?
No,
I
it's
don't.
not that, I think.
Okay.
Seems like he's coming back.
What, Shannon, you from South India or North India?
I'm from West India.
West India?
I'm from Bombay.
You're from Bombay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of it's a little hard to get that name and the last name too.
Oh,
It's not from South, from name itself I
yeah.
see. Are you near to Kerala, that Goa, that side?
Goa is close by, but Kerala is far actually. It's beautiful, but it's far.
It's far from you.
Right, right.
I think he's back.
Hi guys.
Alkesh, where are you from? Hey, Alkesh, you there?
But not like multiple instances on a major production systems. That scenario is very, very less because it just complicates the things, right? So
Yeah, I agree. Because in order to be able to your system 100% utilized by your production database to make sure that other guys are not coming in and sharing the CPU memory, it's always good to go with the standalone. I would recommend always standalone. Maybe,
Right.
people may tell 10 different reasons to put another database, another instance, but it's not a good idea. The instance always, it's instance always running on top of the operating system is talk to each other, right?
That is true.
Which should have a free hands-on to make sure that handle the production box. But anyway, like you said, it depends. But I would go with the standalone.
That is true. That is true. So we have like one major system like that, but we have one mini production. That's where we have like multiple instances, but they are just, nobody really cares even they are down for like an hour. But
Yeah, exactly. Some people they do the healthcare application, whatever. But if it is a financial application, they're going to cry out and yell at each other. What's going on? They want to get the
okay.
yeah.
All right. So before we get into how do we create a database, let me walk you through some theory here. So you have been hearing a word called instance from me. Instance is also called as database manager. Now, I don't remember if I covered this example. If I go to office, yeah, if I go to office, I'm an employee of an organization, right? I am responsible to put in 8 hours or 9 hours to the organization. So how best I can utilize my 8 hours or 9 hours? There is a boss sitting on my top of my head and deciding me that okay, you do this work because this is priority. So it's not only that my boss is responsible to me, my boss will manage more than one or two people, like maybe like 30 people or 40 people. So my boss or my manager can be compared as instance in DB2 world. Instance, like my manager is at a high level, who oversees things inside that instance area. What is under instance area? Multiple employees, multiple databases, right? If someone asks me what is an instance, I can also use that an interchangeable word called DBM, database manager. He is my manager, my boss. So in short, instance is a local database manager environment where we catalog databases and set various configuration parameters. Now, if you look at, if let's say Alkesh, Tony, Shanet, Vishnu, and we all are working under the same team. Each one has our own properties, right? If you look at Shanet, he's coming from a business knowledge. He's pretty stronger in that requirements gathering or analysis. So I might be coming in from like C and Unix background. I must be pretty good in programming. Someone is pretty good in administration. Someone is pretty good in XYZ things. So how do I define the properties of individual employees? Similarly, how do I define properties of a database? Is through a configuration file. Is through a configuration file. So each database has its own configuration file called DB configuration. Each database has its own configuration file. Similarly, instance has its own configuration file. Instance has its own configuration file. And to control things at an entire operating system level, there is something called registry configurations too. Like Windows has our registry settings, right? That affects the entire operating system. Similarly, you have something at a registry settings. These registry settings will also be used to set up a specific environment specific to our client. For example, if I am using 10.5 Fixpack 6, all of a sudden I have realized a defect in the system and I approached IBM. IBM gave me a Fixpack. So how do I make sure that Fixpack does not affect anything in the system is they'll ask me to set up one environment variable. Simply they'll ask me to do a registry variable. If that variable is yes, it will go through a specific path. If the variable is no, it goes to a default path. Such kind of specific solutions they can implement through registry settings. In summary, you have instance, you have multiple databases. Instance has its own instance configuration, DBM configuration. Database has its own database configuration. You see, similarly, you have a registry configurations at operating system level, at all instance levels or database levels. We have already looked at this practical way, but the basic prerequisites for any installation is very minimal for DB2. So you need a minimal disk space, you need a minimal RAM. Okay, but the two major things you have to consider is whether you are doing the installation as a root or non-root. Whether we are doing installation as a root or a non-root. So this is very important difference. What happens when I do as a root? What happens when I don't do it as a root? If you look at, we have done the installation as a root user, right? Now I will give one assignment to you. Go ahead and create or go ahead and do installation as non-root and see what happens. Here is the major differentiation. Root installation and non-root installation. When I do with the root installation, can user select installation directory? Yes. But for non-root installations, there is no way users can select installation path. This is a very important difference. So we mostly 99.99% cases we do installation with root user only. You see my point? But once in a while, you know, when you say DB2 LS, the user ID for installer is 0 means it's a root. 0 is the user ID for root. So if you see any other, here it's a non-root installation. Okay. Now what happens when I do with the non-root is, you won't be placed everything in opt IBM DB2 version 10.5. It won't create a directory like this. It won't create a global directory like this. Instead of that, whatever the user ID we are trying to install in that respective user ID's home directory, it will go ahead and create all these files. It will go ahead and create all these files. So the advantage of that is you only manage it, but the disadvantage is you cannot create multiple instances. If there is a requirement for me to create multiple instances, you cannot create when you do with non-root installation. Because your user ID is the instance owner and you cannot have another user ID created. Because you cannot run db2 I create command. Okay, what kind of a files deployed during installation with a root? Only program files.
Ravi,
Yes, Shannon.
when you go for root, okay, assume that you have a root, install everything. When tomorrow anything change, you need to have a root privileges, right?
Okay.
But the root privileges will be handled by the sysadmin. They don't want to give you root all the time.
Yeah.
So what is the get around at that time? If you want to do something in the root level, a patch install or whatever, something you want to correct the sysconfig file, whatever it is. So will they grant you the sysadmin what you need? Because nowadays so many security things comes in, they don't want to share with the database guys. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that is very true question and very good question, Tony. So because auditors make our life miserable every quarter, saying why this guy has a root privilege. So that's when we need to open a ticket with infrastructure team, Unix team saying, grant us sudo access. There is something called sudo access. Super user access for DB2 INST1 for a couple of hours. They can do that. If Unix team audit policies does not allow even granting super user privilege for 2 hours for DB2 INST1, we have no other option other than letting Unix guy do the job. We just have to list all the steps. See, the problem comes only in production environments, right? See, they won't give you the root access only in production environments. At least they are okay to grant super user privilege in non-production. So you test everything in non-production and you exactly put the steps like a cakewalk to them. So they'll just blindly follow with the root user. And while they do the steps,
I agree with you.
yeah,
Hmm.
while they do their steps, you have to either sit in front, in back to them, or you have to do a screen sharing with them.
True, and you have to, it's a kind of thing you can do it a couple of minutes and well, sit with them. It will take hour or two, tell them each and every step,
Right.
walk through with them. I agree. Worst case scenario, the fire call ID, whatever they call, you need to escalate with them, make sure that you get the sudo access for a couple of hours or whatever things. You have to present that, justify that this is what the reason I do at that time, document it and tell the audit folks, otherwise they will ask 10 different questions. Yeah.
Audits are on top of us. So here is what Tony asked me, Janet and Alkesh. So I have development in instance, test instance, maybe performance instance, user acceptance instance. Then I go to production. If I have to, let's say if I am using 10.5 fixpack 6, if I have to move to a 10.5 fixpack 7, so something has been fixed between 6 and 7. Okay, what do I have to do is I cannot directly go on production, right? I have to test it in development, then someone has to test it. I have to validate performance is not deviated. I have to make sure users accept these features. Then only I can go to production. So you need for these fix packs or patches or upgrades root user ID, super user, because you have installed with root. Now this is going to be a major communication thing between two teams. So to do it that in a production, because auditors first validate accesses on production environments only, they don't worry about development, or non-production environments. So you can request them for the root privilege. There are two things you can request them. One is root password, which is 99% cases they won't give you, or they can grant sudo to your instance owner. Now this is what they do. Now you list all the steps. You test it in dev, you step the same steps in test, same steps in perf, same tests in user acceptance. Now you give them the same steps in production, so let them do it. If they don't give you sudo, so ideally they won't even use sudo in production. They say that they'll do it because otherwise they have to answer like hundreds of audit questions. So
What do you mean when you say they?
means Unix team.
Okay.
Okay. Here is the thing. We have application, right? So you have database, right? Then you have Unix. Then you have storage. In middle comes the network, and at the front you have users, right? So this guy has to have a very good relation with these people. So like application team will have a very good relation with databases folks. So database guy has to have a very strong relation with these guys. So because we are dependent on them, as simple as that. Okay, that's what it is here.
There is one more command, bb run or something. Is that helpful?
What is that, Tony?
The pb run or something. Is it similar to sudo or different? Running the script.
I am not sure, sir. I'm not sure. So I've used only sudo so far.
Okay, go ahead.
pv run, right? Okay. All right. So coming back, we are looking at what happens when I run db2 underscore install command with root. What happens if I run db2 underscore install command with non-root? When I do with root, I have an option to select the installation directory. I don't have when I do with non-root. So number of db2 instances allowed is multiple, but I can only create one instance, that is with my instance owner name. What are the files deployed during installation? Only program files. The program files that it stores in opt IBM DB2 version 10.5. But we have to explicitly create instance. We have to explicitly create instance using db2 I create command. However, when I have non-root installation, even the instance is created automatically. Both program files and instance files are deployed in your home directory. So the thing to take care of when you do upgrade and instance the same time, no, with a non-root installation, you don't have to uninstall the old version before installing the new version. So you just simply have to install the new version and upgrade in the same directory, because everything is under same directory. Now when I talk about this, I've been referring few directories here. When I say mount db2, this is where I extracted my product. When I go to opt IBM db2 version 10.5, this is where I am talking about my product installed. When I go to the home directory of this db2 inst3, it creates one directory called SQL LIB. This is an instance information directory. There are 3 different directories I have been referring with the root installation. What are those 3 again? One is mount db2. This is where I copied, extracted. Opt IBM db2 version 10.5. This is where I have installed as root. Then home db2 inst3 SQL LIB. This is where my instance information files exist. This is the result of db2 I create. This is the result of db2 underscore install. This is the result of winscp, tar, conzip, tar -xpf. Now let me give an assignment here. It may not be immediate, so you can try it sometime this week. Create one more Linux box. Create one more Linux box. Okay. winscp, extract, gunzip, tar -xpf as non-root. You see my point? Don't do it as a root. Do all this as a non-root user. Now db2 underscore install as a non-root and see what happens. So this is the non-root installation I am talking about. Non-root installation. Now run db2 install as a non-root and do a db2 start and see what happens. Okay, so you can try these steps. So the same steps as you did for root, you are just doing it as a non-root in your free time. Okay, any questions on this slide? When to use root and when to use non-root? If you refer the Tony's example earlier, on a major production system, you have only one instance. So in that scenario, even it is good for me to just create with non-root installation, because I know that I'm no longer going to have another instance on that operating system. But as a best practice, we don't do that. We'll always depend upon root. Along with this, you need these 3 different users. For DB2 setup, you need 2 different users, and there is one deprecated user. We no longer referring this in the latest versions. The DB2 administration server has been deprecated. This is a feature.
Why Ravi?
Okay.
Why it has been a dash server, right? Dash
yeah, dash server. So this is a server that will help us to administer databases from a web kind of an interface. Now you have something called Optim Performance Manager, OPM, and you have something called Data Studio. So they have been taken out this GUI kind of an administration through DAS, and they have put it everything in Optim Performance Manager.
Well, talk about the Data Studio. I don't think so. Data Studio give full-fledged administration point of view of this thing. I don't know about Optim Manager, but
no, the
Optim Manager is a licensed product. Optim
yeah,
Manager.
it's a licensed product. So here is the thing. So the replacement for DAS is OPM, but Data Studio at this point is flexible to do at least some administration. Like you can start, stop. There is Data Studio is a huge thing, sir. So, but Data Studio is not a replacement for this guy. Data Studio is a replacement for Control Center. We used to have a product called Control Center, CC.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of deprecated even that one, and they pushed it to use Data Studio. But this DAS, the replacement is OPM, the
That's
web-based.
its opinion.
Yeah, web-based. Now, you don't have to bring in these services, so that's why we don't need this user anymore. We need at least two different users. One is the instance owner, the big guy, and the lady who takes care of security. So the security is making sure all the unchecked code or code written by users will be executed outside DB2's scope, DB2 database.
Tell me one thing, talk about procedure. You cannot directly run the procedure like Oracle does.
You can
You have to deploy code something or something. Procedure.
I am not the right person to talk on that, sir. But yeah, it's the same process as Oracle. But I tested it once, the same process. But the only thing is
breaking the code. On the other day, I had messed up whole system down, database. I don't know what went wrong. The trigger and the store procedures are kind of crashing does it crash the server? I don't know. I tried from IBM Data Studio run the trigger, it crashed it to all the database. But I don't know how is there any specific way to deploy or somebody told me you have to deploy. You cannot just.
It's just a standard way. Just create it and run. But again, I mean, I'm not the best guy to talk on that area.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, I tried like Oracle way, but that's why it didn't work much. It's kind of a little scary to me.
Yeah, but I can check with one of my application teams to see the way they play around. Now, for sure, you need these two users. So that's why we created fenced one and instance one. The naming convention.
Okay, what point we use fenced ID, Ravi, when a third-party lender, I mean, other than database, the GUI or other WebSphere application using, then they call in the procedure, they need the fence ID? No, what point they need the fence ID?
They don't need anything. They don't need anything. They'll just call it as a normal user. But those things are executed under this guy's name scope. So instead of DB2 INST1 executing them, so this guy takes control of it. And this
I get you what you're saying. It looks like it's a kind of proxy user on behalf of that guy. This is doing.
This guy will do, and this guy where it runs is this guy runs them outside DB2's address space, so that like you mentioned, any crash happens, it won't affect entire database except that user.
Oh, even in Data Studio.
Whenever the request hits a database, this guy will come in middle, especially for stored procedures and UDFs and UDAs. Right.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a direct execution. I think this might look like a little strange because I haven't seen something like this in Oracle or any other databases.
I mean that's true. I don't know where in the world I've been there before. They put it this user for a thing. I don't know how they operate internally. God only knows. But I never used other than at the time of creation.
Yeah, that is true. So maybe DB2 is getting a little cautious from security aspect, or they have something that I don't know as a security flaw. But I assume that it's the first case where they are becoming a little cautious, saying that users might hamper or a bad code might hamper the entire instance. So maybe they have it. Maybe it's architectural flaw. They have it from old.
Yeah, I mean they may have because IBM always cautious. It's good to have one more layer of security, which is nothing wrong in it. But if it is now for the sake of they have already in different version or somewhere else, they copy over here, then doing nothing, it's not good. But if it is doing something, that's fine.
Yeah, it is there, sir. It is a good thing too. But I never questioned that, like, because other than at instance creation, I hardly came across this anytime. You just put it there inside.
Right.
Right. In summary, what do we have to look for is, like, you have to decide the operating system where you have to install, how much disk space, how much memory, and whether you are installing as a root or a non-root. Do you have respective users and groups created? I mean, no need for groups. The groups itself creates in the same user ID if you don't specify. Once you took care of all those basic things, the next one to create an instance as a root user is DB2 I create. Please note that only one instance can be created under a username. If I have a DB2 INST1, that means my instance name is DB2 INST1. If I have a user as DB2 INST2, that means my instance name is DB2 INST2. A user is equals to instance. Like in Oracle, we say a user is schema. Here a user is equals to one instance. That's a blind rule. If you want to have another instance, go ahead and add another user and run this command. And location of this command is under install dir instance directory. And here is a syntax for this command. Now, db2 I create, you can say -u fenced user ID, instance name. You can specify the instance type, what kind of authentication, where do I authenticate my user ID and password, and what is my port number for external communication, pure scale options and text search options, which I haven't explored so far. So this is we already looked at db2 I create. These are the options you can give for this guy, instance type. If you don't specify anything, it picks up a default instance type as advanced, default authentication as server. By default, there won't be any port number. Here is the example that we have covered. db2 I create, my security user, my instance owner. The next thing is db2 I drop. If you don't like instance that what you have created, if you want to drop it, simply say db2 I drop and db2 INST1. But
Ravi,
yes, Shannon.
sorry. When we say DB2 I drop, that's gotta be root, or that's whichever instance you're dropping.
Again, it's a root. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
You can only drop instances that are created by db2 I create. So whoever runs the db2 I create has to be the event running guy for this db2 drop. Right. You can only drop instances that are listed by db2 ilist. What is a db2 ilist is? db2 ilist is a command that will show me list of instances running on my system, at least installed. It may not be running. INST1, 2 and 3. So this is what I do. If I joined a new db2 environment and my boss gave me that these are the user ID and password to log into instance, find out what is the instance configuration. And I haven't got any EKT. The thing I do is I run this command called db2ls. I don't have to know anything. So it quickly tells me that what kind of a products I installed, when it is installed. So db2 ilist. So I have these many instances. So this is how I go. Right? These are the high level things I do. Oh boy, 3 instances. So then I check the memory, I check the CPU count, I check the rest of the things, right? So just to have a quick idea on what kind of an environment I'm getting into, right? Okay. db2 ilist, it lists the instances. Whenever I add something, whenever I create an instance, there is one global registry file which is created under var directory, right? When I say, when I go to cd var db2, there is one global registry file that db2 creates it. This is in a non-readable format. Okay, but if you want to read this to -dump, so whenever I run this command, it will go ahead and read this file. This is what happens when you run db2 ls. db2 ls actually goes and reads the information from this file. You might be surprised, right? I log in here as a root and I say password. I haven't set any environment. I simply run db2 ls, but still it shows the output. So db2 ls is like your ls on Unix, but this is ls for db2. It lists the db2 installed products. Do I have a server? Do I have a client? But I haven't set any environment. But how this is working? But db2 ilist won't work because ilist needs an environment. When you say db2 ls, it comes from user local bin. The moment you start installing your db2 product first, it creates this db2 ls in this Unix path. There is something called this path, right? It creates under this path. Agree? Right. So, but db2 ilist won't be like that. That path for db2 ilist is inside your home directory. Now this can quickly tell me that what's happening inside the stuff. Now from where it will get this information? From this global registry file. When I dump the contents of this, it will show me that these are the I stands for instances here. So we'll see them rest all the things in registry settings. But I stands for instances. There are 2 I's here and there is another I here. So total 3 instances. Even I don't have to run db2 ilist to find out. So I can just decode this dump and I can simply say this. There are 3 I's here. So that means 3 instances on the system. Right? This is the concept of this db2 ilist. So db2 I create, db2 drop, db2 ilist. If you look at all these commands are starting with db2, right? Then you have something called db2 start. When do we use db2 start? Once my installation is complete, I log in as an instance owner, right? Here, if my installation is complete, I log in as my instance owner, right? So when I run this db2 ilist, now it will show you because this db2 ilist is found from my home directory. This is important thing to understand. Whenever I run this db2 I create, okay, I say fenced user ID and I say instance owner. Under instance owner's home directory, that is home db2 inst3, it will create one directory called SQL library, the instance information. Inside this SQL lib, it will place bunch of files and directories. These are your instance files. So in this, one such important file is db2 profile. This db2 profile is your environment, the environment for db2, right? This db2 profile is an environment for db2. You don't have to do anything. Okay, by default, whenever you log in, there is something called bash_profile. I think .bashrc. Yeah. So this bash_profile calls bashrc. This dot is a hidden file. This .bshrc calls this db2 profile. This actually sets your environment. Let me, to add more to the confusion here, let me do one simple thing here. Let me add one user, su-root password user add -d home Ravi I'm adding a Ravi user. So it says Ravi already exists. Okay. Let me log in as a Ravi user. Right? When I do DB2 I list, I think Ravi already exists as instance owner itself. Now let me add another user as Tony. Now when I switch to Tony user here, when I say DB2 I list, it's a command not found because Tony does not have the environment set for DB2. Now what I do here is I simply run this command called inst3 sqllib db2 profile. Now the environment is set for Tony and he can see the output. So here is once in a while even we receive a request from client saying that I want the DB2 environment to be setted. I am on the DB2 instance box. I want the environment to be setted. All you have to do is add this line in their bash profile. Add this line in their bash profile like this. So that whenever they log in, the environment is sourced automatically. You saw my point? How to do that environment setup? You don't have to do anything. As instance owner, the environment is sourced automatically, right? This DB2 profile, where is this guy here? DB2 profile is for bash environments. There is a shell, right? There is a shell. There are like n number of shells at a Unix level. If you are using a bash shell as a default shell, you can source this profile. But what if I am a C shell guy? I'm using C shell or other shells. So this is the environment file for those guys. DB2 CSHRC. DB2 profile is for bash. DB2 CSHRC is for C shell. That's what I am trying to show you here. Either you can source the environment. Right now in the latest versions it's been added automatically. You don't have to source anything. It's been added by default in your bash profile. Simply say db2 start. Simply say db2 start to start your instance. Now the equivalent command in opposite direction for this is db2 stop. If I want to stop my database instance, I simply have to say db2 stop. But db2 stop comes up in 3 different variants. When I say db2 stop, if no applications are connected to my instance, it stops. But if there are applications already connected, it won't stop because it says that there is already an active application running. In that scenario, first you have to force all the applications. Forcing application is nothing but killing applications. Then only you can do stop. This example I will show you once we create database, once we make a communication. Sometimes what happens is forcing applications and doing a db2 stop. One step command is db2 stop and force. Once in a while what you have to do is this won't respond even. Then you have to do db2 underscore kill. Shannon, this is like killing the process ID. Kill minus 9. But it is not, but it is not recommendable to do this. But once in a while you have no option. What to do? This is not responding and this is not responding. You have no other option other than db2 underscore kill. But make sure you have a proper backups available to restore in case instance won't come back.
Got it.
Yeah. Like I was mentioning,
db2 kill one command.
Yeah, db2 underscore kill is a processor. I mean, it's a shell script that does that.
Oh, like a db2 stop.
Yeah, db2 stop is a handshake stop. In the sense, it's a nicer way of stopping it. db2 force is forceful stop. Sometimes db2 stop force also won't work. In that case, all you have to do is just go ahead and kill the process ID.
But when you bring it back, it will be inconsistent state, right?
That's where the challenge is. That's why we don't use this at all.
Right. It's a kind of shut down apart, something like in Oracle, right?
Shut down a pod. It's like go ahead and kill the process ID. Yeah. Now moving on, I have explained instance is a database, local database manager connection where we configure databases and set various configuration parameters, right? Now how instance is defined, how I shape instance, or how I define Ravi, or how I define Tony, there are certain attributes and properties for each and every person. Similarly, instance also has its own attributes. They are defined under DBM configuration file. If I go here and say that db2 get dbm config, when I say db2 get dbm config, it will show me a bunch of lines on the screen. It will show me the bunch of lines on the screen. This is the configuration for this instance. These are all the commands or lines or configuration parameters that someone set already at instance level, or they came by default. The syntax for this is description, parameter name, the current value. If you look at here, the maximum number of concurrently active databases, NUMDB, by default is only 32. That means by default DB2 only allows 32 databases, active databases. Even though you can create n number of databases, if this number is limited to 32, you can only have only have 32 active databases, right? If you want to update this 32 to 50, right? What if I have a 50 databases? I want 50 active databases, okay? Active in the sense at least one user connected to the database. So what if I want to update this configuration parameter from 32 to 50? I simply have to say db2 update dbm config using, you have to specify this keyword, the keyword in the brackets, and say 50. Now how do I know the syntax for all this? We just don't have to by heart this. You can simply say db2 question mark update dbm config. It will show you update database manager configuration. In short, you can say dbm for this, cfg for configuration, right? It just comes by practice. So these are the basic fundamental things. Now if I run the db2 get dbm config one more time now, I will see here number of databases as 50. This is like P file or SP file in Oracle, right? But the important thing here is where are these data stored? Where is the data stored? When I say db2 get dbm config, it is showing me things on the screen, but where is this data stored physically? So this is physically stored again in your instance information under your home directory, SQL lib. There is a file here. Where is this? Something with db2. db2 system. This guy again, he is binary format. This guy holds this information. This guy is responsible to store your instance level configuration. So that means whenever I update number of databases from 32 to 50, it updated in this file. It got updated in this file. Now there are two important things here. This got updated on the hard disk, but will it reflecting in the memory? Is it reflecting in the memory? Because I started already instance, right? It already took some memory and it is running as a 32. But few configuration parameters will get only affected at a hard disk level. It won't get affected in memory. That's what I'm trying to show you here, right? So if you want to see the value in the memory, so there are two different aspects. One is the value on the disk. That means it will get affected next time when you reboot, and the value in the memory. If you want to see value in the memory, you have to attach to the memory instance. You have to attach to its memory. Saying that DB2 attached to respective instance. Why is it crying? Yeah, I think spelling is wrong. When you say DB2 get dvm config show detail, if you say show detail now, it will show you the current value and delayed value. This delayed value is something that it is getting from the hard disk, the db2 system file. The delayed value is 50, but the memory still has value as 32. So for this, you have to bounce the instance. You simply have to say db2 stop and db2 start. When you say db2 stop and db2 start, it will refresh the memory, right? It will release the memory, it will reassign the memory. When it will reassign the memory, it will read the value from hard disk. That's when you see both values as 50 and 50. This is another L1 task where you have to update configuration parameters. Don't worry, at least we'll update like 5 to 6 different configuration parameters as part of these whole classes. You will be comfortable with these configuration parameters update by end of the sessions. But the point I wanted to highlight is just try these at your system, in your environment. So get the database manager configuration. Question mark will get you the help. Number of databases, and you attach to an instance. Show detail will show current and delayed value. If you want to set everything to the scratch, you simply say db2 reset dvm config. You simply say db2
Is it
reset.
a default one?
Yeah, it will push everything to the default one.
When you say db2 stop and to start, assume that the database inside is already in stop, or it's going to force to start and stop.
Yeah, if nothing connected to it, it will stop. If there are applications connected to it, so far we haven't seen any applications connecting. So I'll show you that tomorrow in tomorrow's class. So that time it won't stop. When you say db2 stop and it is successful, that means databases are also stopped.
Okay. So otherwise database itself is not there.
I mean, without instance, databases does not exist. So yeah, right. I'll show you that because we have another important class on database level configuration. So, and connecting to an applications, active databases. Again, is going to be fun tomorrow.
So all the database which is sitting inside the instance, say like 2 or 3, the overall control is when any touching any value in the instance is going to impact all the 3 databases sitting inside, right?
It depends upon the parameter, but yeah, I see your point. Yes.
In general, because it's sitting in the umbrella of instance.
Yeah, because databases have their own configuration again. They have their own configuration like this. For example, this is
which will be oversee?
Okay.
For example, will oversee how it works, Ravi. It's suppose you have the same parameter might be there in database side also, but which one it will take immediately impact? It's a database and go to instance, or instance go to instance to database.
I see the point you are coming in. It's not like a scope of a variable. It's not like you define a variable at a global level and you define a same variable at a local level, which one takes the precedence. No, you don't have a same configuration parameters at instance and database level. You don't have it. Each one has their own configuration. At an instance level, you talk about instance level memory. At a database level, you talk about database level memory. You see what I'm saying? Let me show you that in Notepad.
Right.
So if my total memory is coming as 200 gig, and if I have assigned for instance one has 150 GB, right?
Yeah.
If I created a database one, I tell this guy that you take it out like 60 gig. If I tell to database 2, I tell this guy that you take 40 gig. Okay, so this is controlled by a parameter called instance underscore memory. This is controlled by a parameter called database underscore memory. So if all of a sudden I have decided to reduce this to 80 GB, it will fail because databases minimum need 100 gig, because this is what we have decided for each database 60 and 40. So if all of a sudden you decided to reduce this instance memory to 80 gig, it will fail. It is successful, but database bringing up will fail because of not sufficient memory. So it's not like a scope.
What you're saying is, gotcha. Okay. So it's two different parameters they have, even though it has, you have to handle carefully.
Exactly. Different parameters are like instance as at a high level. Yeah, there is a parameter like, for example, federated. So this is like you are enabling your instance so that outside world can see your instance for DB link. You are making sure that your instance is available for database links. So when you do this, it is a parameter that affects all databases. People can see all databases. So yeah, you'll
get so what is the point of? I'm sorry. What is the point of Is it going to be, when you say federated is going to impact it, right? And what I was thinking is, yeah, go ahead. So there are some of the parameter it will matter. Is there any CPU level sharing, like a memory for each database, different CPU? No.
Not really. You can only control at workload management. Not at a instance level. You cannot specify something like that.
I mean, I'm talking about database level. Okay, take 20 CPUs there. Take 10 each. Can you tell like that?
No, you cannot really tell that. No, you cannot. You cannot.
So memory is the main thing.
Memory is the main thing you can tell.
Okay, I'm just curious to know, what are the level of database level of instance parameter can be defined in database level, so that CPU, memory, and then I/O, mainly memory. It seems like buffer pool. What about buffer pool?
No. We'll go all there in a next class, Tony. So it's too early to talk on that because buffer pool.
Okay.
You're controlled at a database level. Let's go to the database creation in the next class, and I'll cover them there. So there is
good.
There is a separate class which talks about memory model itself, right? We'll see in that class so how these various memory structures come together to form instance, database, and application. So I'll cover there. So there are various parameters.
Okay, in general, memory, I mean, the instance is nothing but a bunch of background process with the memory running on top of the operating system. That's like a data Oracle, right? Is there any difference?
Here it's not processes, it's a threads.
It's a thread?
Yeah, at a high level you see one process and which is closely followed inside by threads. DB2 is a thread-based architecture. It's not like Oracle where it's a process-based architecture. So,
the thread-based means you're talking about agent, or it's IBM agent, something like that?
No. It's the operating system thread level. Each agent, agent is considered as one thread. Right? Whenever an incoming connection comes, Agent is treated as one thread.
So in other words, it's closely linked to the operating system level,
More
whereas
than
Oracle is a process level, right?
still process has to be controlled by OS, right? They are still under
It's
OS
true. It's
control.
true.
Yeah.